Okay. Lego. Hello?
Hello?
Hi. How you
How's
doing,
your
man?
day, sir?
I'm okay. Just started.
Okay.
Ready to shit on you, man. Okay, so
Okay.
what's your MMR? What are we dealing with today?
3.9K.
Okay. And why are you here? What are you trying to what do you feel like your problem is here?
I wouldn't, I just feel like when I play the game, I don't know what to think. Like, you always talk about make correct moves, but I just don't know what to take. Well, what should I consider as a factor and turn it into my decision-making moves?
I got you. So I think you could also benefit from watching that last session back. If you did you watch the whole thing or did you just get
I watch like 20 minutes.
Okay, yeah, I think just letting you know after the session, free content, it'll be on YouTube, all that kind of shit. That last session, we kind of talked a lot about what goes into making certain decisions, so might be beneficial for you to look back at that one too. So, okay, just that's why I mentioned that. So do you have a replay in mind today?
Yeah, I would type a match ID in the Discord chat.
For sure, man. Okay, I'm gonna share a screen with you because I'm not gonna forget. Okay, let me know if you see it. Do you see it?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, cool. What hero are you here?
I play TA.
TA. Okay, so you were against Puck, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that should be a favorable matchup for you. Did you guys win?
No, we didn't.
Okay, so let's find out here. So generally speaking, I'm assuming you know this is a favorable matchup.
Yeah, I saw the park and I did not see any other hero like Venomancer and stuff. So I think just go with TA. It should work. At least I won't be flamed for having
Yeah,
the laning battling.
this is definitely a good TA game. So if you picked into this on purpose, like this is definitely a good TA pick. So let's go ahead and check this out. Items are fine, obviously, not complicated. Okay. So, do you know how to lock hero screen? Like, lock the hero on your screen?
I don't think so. I don't.
Okay.
I
So,
really
if
don't know.
whatever your hero select button is, if you hold it down, it'll lock on your hero. Which will make this whole thing a lot easier. You don't have to drag your camera. Your hero
Oh,
will...
okay, so I just double click
Like,
the whatever.
for me, it's 1. So, if I just double-click hold 1, it'll lock on my hero. And it'll follow me down the lane. So for whatever the hotkey is for you, I'm just assure you it'll make your blocking like 10 times easier.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I didn't know it for a long time, or I didn't do it for a long time, like literally until like a month ago, or 2 months ago. So, okay.
Don't mind me.
Okay. Okay, so that's like I wanted to wait to see how that played out. So you lost the block, which is pretty unfortunate in this matchup. But my question for you is like, who wins this matchup and why?
Theoretically, TA is supposed to win because the first spells.
Okay, so who's stronger level 1?
Based on what I did,
Well,
Puck?
I asked you why TA wins the matchup, and you said because of her first skill. So if you don't have your first skill level 1, which I believe is correct, who's stronger level 1?
Puck.
Okay, so you should be using a lot of creep aggro and doing a bunch of dodgy shit until you get level 2, right? Like you should just be avoiding her hitting you. Like, why is she stronger? Because I'm calling it a she, I don't give a shit. Why is Puck stronger? Because she can just hit you from longer range than you can hit her. So you need to be drawing creeps away from her, and then if she walks towards you, you're hitting her with side blades, right? Like, that's... Because if you're forcing her to chase after you here, it makes her movements much more predictable, and it makes it so that you can more reliably hit her with side blades, right?
Yeah.
That's what that does for you. So, and if you just let her hit you, exactly what's going to happen is going to happen. Secondly, you know the matchup. What's it going to look like level 1?
Puck is going to hit you hard.
Okay, so should you have already had a salve flying out to you? Because you know that's going to happen. Do you see what I'm saying here? Like, you know this is what the lane's going to look like. Like, yeah, maybe you could have played it better. You could have had better CS. Like, sure. Like, the block could have been slightly better. But the level 1's literally going to be Puck hitting you for the entire thing. If the guy knows what he's doing, he's just going to be hitting you. So, like, that salve should be flown out with the... Obviously, most of the games you fly a salve out anyways. But the point is, like, think about the matchup. So when it goes into decisions of little things like items and region and all that kind of stuff, just look at the matchup and you know what's going to happen. Like, you are good enough at this stage to start really in-depthly, like, thinking about matchups. Like, you're not going to be perfect at it by any means, because you're only about 4K. But, like, you're good enough and you've played enough Dota to be like, yeah, I know Puck's going to hit me a lot, because that's what these heroes do. Like, she has higher range than I do, and I don't have refraction yet. So when I get past level 1, I'm going to have low health. So that's a very important thing to think about. And then you need to draw aggro, right? Like, pull it away from her. That's why I immediately stopped the replay right there. Because she just gets to hit you. You get level 2. Okay, and now you're forced to back up because you don't have your salve yet.
First blood.
Could have just salved right here, but instead you have to chill. But okay, here we go. Okay. Same thing here, you just don't use creep aggro at all. Yeah, you literally die because of creep aggro. So, my initial impression after watching you lane is you just don't use creep aggro. At all. So, like, I'm gonna give you a good example of creep aggro. So, right here, you aggro right now, because you're... Okay, do you know how it works with this range creep? Like, can this creep right here and this hero see you right now?
Both the melee creep off and the Puck should be see me.
You're on high ground. They don't see you. Like, this,
okay.
this is high... This is, like, they don't see you right now.
So the edge of the whatever the water line is,
yeah,
and
I
the
mean,
low ground.
yeah. The point, okay, the point is your own range creep provides vision, though. So if you're ever not sure, it's like really close. You're actually almost in vision. So like you're really close.
Okay.
So like either way, your range creep when it's attacking provides vision around itself. Okay, so like you can go into a private lobby and check that out. I have my whole creep aggro video on it. I don't want to sell out, but if you spend $75 to be here, I have like 3 in-depth guides on GameLeap about creep aggro that are from old patches, but they're still the exact fucking same. So if you want to check that out, it'll help you with this stuff. I'm not going to waste any more time other than saying, like in this case, I would have A-clicked the Puck because I'm in range of this range creep. It's going to aggro me. The creep's going to go right here, and then I get the CS because it's farther away from Puck, closer to me. And guess what? It's also sideblading her, you know, because the creep's right here. So, like, the point is, there's a lot of times in this lane where if you were to watch it back, the point of creep aggro is it repositions creeps. That's all it does. Like, that is the entire point of creep aggro. Like, the reason why you creep aggro is always different. Like, why am I repositioning the creeps? So, like, if you're a lower range hero and she's high range, you need to make her move. Like, you need to make her come to you somehow. So you can't just sit on top of the creep wave and let her hit you. Like, you can't do that. That's not going to work. You're going to, like, yeah, maybe you could have almost killed her here or whatever. But if you watch this lane back and then learn about creep aggro, you've taken at least 10 extra hits than you should. Like, you've taken a lot of extra hits. Are you supposed to get hit a lot? Yes, you are. But you should get hit, like, 16 times instead of 26, you know, like that's what creep aggro does for you. In every lane it's different, but like it makes it so whatever your weaknesses are, they are sheared up, like you know that they are less impactful. Or in the last replay or the guy I coached, creep aggro can be used aggressively when you're the guy that's more powerful. So like if you're the stronger hero, it's better to creep aggro. TA is generally it's a little risky to creep aggro on TA even when you're stronger because you have refraction that gets broken by creeps. Most of the time when I'm against a TA that creep aggro's, they're doing it to reposition the creep to sideblade me better. Like that's why they're doing it. They're like trying to sideblade me by having the creep be in a different spot. So like I'm just giving you an example of why people creep aggro. My point is you just don't use it and the puck gets a deny. Okay, so if you don't creep aggro, if you don't do anything to the creeps, how predictable is everything that's going on to the opponent? Like
pretty predictable because the creep line is just gonna be there and
just hitting each other, right?
You are going to have to go to the specific spot to
Yeah.
hit the creep.
Exactly. Like the creeps are killing each other. They know where you're gonna have to walk to kill the creep. All that kind of stuff. Creep aggro changes where you have to kill the creep. It changes which creeps are dying. It changes how fast they die. Like you have to know that creep aggro is used to manipulate that stuff. Like that's what you're doing. You're trying to manipulate it in your favor. So I've noticed like you have not done it a single time. Like right here, do you want to be hitting creeps uphill with no health? No. Go in range of them, A-click her, and draw the creeps down to you, right? Like you don't want to be right here. Okay? So like I don't want to talk too much more about creep aggro, but like I'm telling you right now, if you spent the money for the session, you should spend the money and watch those videos. Because this is a big deal. Like, you have to creep aggro. It's like, you will not make it very much higher in MMR if you just don't know how to creep aggro. Okay, so... everyone's a bit different. So, the fact that you and the other guy are about the same MMR, and you don't creep aggro at all, and he does creep aggro, obviously, his mid-game decision-making was, like, worse than yours. But, like, everyone's a little different, right? Like, why they're stuck at the MMR they're at. So, for you... you actually sidebladed him. Okay. So like right here, when he gets back, I'd say do you want the lane on your hill or not?
I want the creep line really close to my tower.
Yeah. So that's what we're gonna try to make happen. That's what we need to think about though. Okay. So okay, you're gonna pick up the invisor and that's you're denying it.
I click it. I don't think I'm going to move around the map.
Yeah, no, I think
really
that's fine.
plan.
So my question is, okay, never mind. We're good. So what's the point of pushing the lane into his tower like that?
Because to be honest, I really don't know what I'm doing.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I'm
right
just
there is
decision-making.
Rune. That's fine. Like, I was asking you to give me a validation because I haven't... So I can see why... I can see why you came into the session, saying, I need to figure out the reasons behind what I'm doing. So I need some background before I can keep going. How long have you played Dota? And how many games have you played?
I have been playing Dota since 2013.
Okay.
Mainly after TI3.
Okay. And, like, how often do you play?
I think I have at least 5K hours on Dota.
Okay. So, like, I'm just asking, like, in the next week, how many games are you going to play?
Next week, not sure, but I think I will at least try to play at least one game a day.
Okay. So,
Do you
my
recommend
recommendation
shaving
for the
your
stuff you're going to
arsehole
fix
before
right now
bleaching it?
is that you need to do your best if possible. If like improving at Dota really matters to you, which I assume it always does with people signing up for my coaching because they're spending money, is to, if possible, realign your life in the way that you play 3 games in 3 days rather than, like, meaning you play 3 games a day, 3 days a week rather than 1 game a day each day. Like, I think playing 1 game a day is really difficult to get better. Like, if you're playing like 1 or 2 games a day. Like, if possible, choose to play more games in 1 day and then take days off than choose to play equal amounts of games. Like, if you're going to play 10 games in a week, I'd rather you play 3 days of 3 than 5 days of 2 games. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. So, like, I know everyone has their obligations. Like, Dota's not a job for everybody like it is for me. They can't give all their time in the world to it. But if you're going to focus on improving on stuff, it's much easier if you play 3 games in a row. So it's just that's what I'm trying to tell you. Because the stuff I'm about to tell you, like, or I'm going to try to explain to you, there's no way if you're playing one game a day, you're actually going to fix it. Like, it's just not going to
I
happen.
mean, I just being average, but what most time I play, most time weekend is all about Dota for me.
Okay,
so.
perfect. So if that's that awesome. So that makes sense, right? So if we can go into a weekend, like if you know you're going to play 3-4 games a day that weekend, that's perfect. I'm just making sure because I want to make sure all the things straight up here. So
I would take that recommendation.
so point is, I have a lot of material on this kind of stuff. So I want to make sure you understand that I'm really not trying to milk you. I'm going to probably send you some links at the end of this video for stuff that you can literally watch me give extensive information on. So if you want to get better at this stuff, it's going to be one at a time. And what I'm feeling is you're probably like a really good team fighter. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even care. Your laning stage, like, it mechanically needs a ton of work. Okay, like a ton of work. So when I look at your MMR, I can assume from here on out that your map decision making may not be very good, but you're gonna play team fights and shit really well. Because I've had plenty of people in my bracket, like 6K flat, and that's where they'll stay, by the way, because they can click buttons really well, but they can't lane and they can't do the decision making for the life of them. Like, they just can't. Like, it's incredible. Like, people will be like, BSJ, that Rubik you were flaming just won you the game with that black hole. And I'm like, yeah, he also has no idea how to fucking lane. Like, yeah, he had a sick black hole steal, and I could never do that myself. But my point is, we need to focus on bringing to your attention one thing at a time. Like, meaning, for instance, creep aggro itself took me 3 months, okay? Like, to actually understand creep aggro. So, like, the video I made on Game Leap is a summary of 3 months of me working on creep aggro, okay? Like, that's how long it took me. So, and creep aggro is something I'm still working on. So, for someone like you, like in my last session, the guy was creep aggroing, he just wasn't always doing it correctly. So I was trying to give him in-depth reasons of when to creep aggro. So like next weekend, when or like for whatever your next session of Dota is, you need to be clicking the enemy hero and drawing creep aggro to like away from them all the time. Okay? Like 3 times a creep wave. Okay?
Oh,
And the point is that always correct? No, like it's not always correct to draw creep aggro. But in my opinion, whenever it comes to these kind of things, it's best to learn, like, to do it all the time and then learn when it's bad to do it rather than trying to figure out when to do it. Do you see the difference there?
okay. So you want me to try as many creep aggro technique as possible and to see what kind of creep aggro benefits me.
Yeah,
what kind of
exactly,
creep aggro
exactly.
harms me. Okay.
So the point that I'm trying to make here is that creep aggro, you have to be within 500 range of the enemy creeps, right? When you issue an
Yes.
attack command. So
Yes.
it's like really important that you have a perfect idea of what that 500 range is, right? Like you have to eventually get to the point where that 500 range is subconscious to you. Like you don't even have to think, you don't have to blink and you know what 500 range is, okay? Like that's
Yeah.
the point. So if you just creep aggro all the time, you'll eventually just know exactly what 500 range is. So then if you want to creep aggro, you'll be able to. Okay? So like
Okay.
that's the first step. Like if you want to, you'll be able to. Second step is knowing, like, I just creep aggroed. Did it do something good for me or not? Like, and the most basic idea is if you are stronger in lane, creep aggro will usually be in order to do what I did with the guy last session. So you can actually just watch the first like 10 minutes of that last session. So like he was stronger and I was explaining to him uses of creep aggro. If you are weaker, all you're doing is pulling creeps away from the other guy, like so that he can't hit you as much or he can't represent kill threat on you. So whenever you're in lane with creep aggro and all these mechanics, what I taught the other guy is first question you ask yourself is, am I stronger than this guy? So level 1, I would say you're weaker. Level 2, I would say you're stronger. Like as this lane goes on, who gets stronger? You or him in this matchup?
Me.
Yeah, right?
Supposed to be me.
Yes. So in every matchup, I need you to think like that first off. Like, who gets stronger? Who's stronger when? Am I stronger level 1? Am I stronger level 2? Am I stronger level 3? As we're hitting level 5 and 6, who's stronger? Like, you know, if somebody gets 6 first, how important is that? Like, how important is it that I hit 6 before he does? Like, all this kind of stuff. That's stuff you need to ask yourself because you're good enough to know it. Like, you are good enough to, like, at least try to know it. Okay? So, when you ask yourself what I should be thinking about, that's like a good first step. And then if you're trying to creep aggro all the damn time and eventually you are like at least able to do it when you're supposed to, like you have the perfect mechanical execution of creep aggroing, then the second step would be to know actually when to creep aggro, right? Like you don't just want to do it all the time. There are times it is incorrect. So like the point is creep aggro is all about knowing whether or not you're stronger than the other guy. Like that's all there is to it. If you can address why or why not you are stronger than the other guy, you will know whether or not to use creep aggro. That's easier said than done. But the point is, if you know the other guy is stronger than you because he outranges you and you can't do anything about it, you will immediately know that pulling the creeps away from him is in your benefit. If you know that if you walk past the creep wave and the other guy can't do anything to you, which in the last game it was the guy with Monkey King and the opponent was Morphling. Like if he just walks past the creep wave, what's the Morphling going to do to him? Literally nothing. You can't trade with him, right? So like if you know that, then you can use that to your advantage, right? Like and you'll just walk past creeps and you don't want to aggro. But if you know that you have to aggro in order to win the trade, then you'll aggro. The point is you have to think about exactly why you're stronger or weaker than the other guy. And combine that with your mechanical execution of creep aggroing, and it'll work. I actually, to be frank, I don't know what else to tell you from this session in terms of this part. Like, I'm not saying like in general, but like in terms of the laning stage part, the first step is you actually just have to creep aggro. So next weekend, you're going to ruin half of your lanes. You're going to play so much wrong because you're not used to thinking about this. You're not used to A-clicking the other guy and dragging creeps. You're going to like try to do it and it's not going to work. You're going to be like, shit. And then you're just going to mess up and maybe feed a couple times. But like, play it in unranked or whatever, you know? 1v1 your friend. I don't care. Like, if you feel bad about like losing MMR or some shit because you're trying to get better at creep aggro, then don't play ranked while you're doing better at it. You know, that's why I have a Smurf. Because when I'm trying to learn new heroes or I'm trying to practice things that I'm really bad at, I don't want to just drop 400 MMR because I'm trying to get better at Dota. I don't want to demoralize myself to get better at Dota. You know what I mean? So whatever it takes for you to like not be demoralized that you're gonna play like shit temporarily. That's how getting better at Dota works. In the short run, you are gonna play like garbage because you're so worried about something you're not used to being worried about. And then in the long run, you'll just have added that to your shit that you're good at. So moving on, I'm not going to focus too much on the laning stage because I think your creep aggro just changes so much about it that I want to just watch your mid-game decision-making. So, you're level 6. He's not. Why is it on pucks? What the? Oh, do you have the setting where it shows up over here?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate spectating people with this fucking setting. It's not your fault. It's it has to be a visual bug or something.
I don't know how to turn it off. My friends thought I had some other third-party software going on. Sorry.
Do you want it on?
I mean, I get used to it right now.
Do you want it on or not? I'm just asking.
I can play without it.
I'm asking you. It's personal preference. Do you want it on?
Just let's say no for your convenience.
I'm saying like it's not going to matter now because you already had it for the replay. But it's this setting right here, by the way. Unit Quarry overrides hero control.
Let me check, please.
You have it off for sure. Like I have it on, so it doesn't do that. But that's your setting that you would if you it's not going to change anything. Like I'm still going to see what I'm seeing. My point is like. Whenever people have this setting, it's so annoying to watch the replays. It's not your fault. Like the reason why it's annoying is because if you click an enemy creep, watch what happens here.
Killing spree.
See that how it like stays on the creep even though it's already dead? Like it's just that like I was fast forwarding. Point is, okay, you're stronger than Puck when you hit level 6. Why?
Because because it will take much more time for him to break my refraction, and he cannot play he cannot what is to say he just cannot kill me.
Okay, he can't kill you. So how do you kill Puck?
Take advantage of his mistakes. Like,
But like with your hero and your abilities, what do you do to kill him?
I need to draw him close to me and right click him.
The point is level your damn ult at 6 because it helps you kill the Puck.
Oh, okay.
That's the long story short here. Like, you need to understand that your ulti is insanely powerful and why it's powerful. Like, you actually have to understand that. Like, I don't know how much TA you've played, for instance. Like, for me, when I play TA, like, my mechanics will be pretty mediocre because I just never play the hero. But, like, my understanding of, like, what makes her strong is pretty good. Like, I'll know, like, oh, I hit level 6, I'm going to lay a trap on this hill. And, like, if he doesn't buy a sentry, he's done for. And if he buys a sentry, what do?
Buy a sentry.
Buy a damn sentry and deward his sentry, right? Like, and then like you get to the point where he can't even walk up in the lane. Like, he can't even, and then you start fucking laying traps here and here. Why are you doing that? Why do you lay traps there?
To know where he goes.
And also knowing if there's like supports coming. But that is true on the part of knowing where he goes. The point is, like, you know he can't walk up in lane, like if you have traps there. And if he can't walk up in lane, the only way that you're going to lose in that situation is if he's killing you, right? Like, that's the only way. So then how does he kill you? Oh, a support has to rotate. Oh, if a support rotates, what do I need to do about that? Just have traps that scout out supports rotating. Like, that's the thought process of decision making, right? Like,
Okay.
like if I have traps in lane, I win. Meaning he can't walk up. He can't walk up, all I have to do is not die. On every hero, it's different. Like, meaning if I'm a Monkey King against the Morphling in the last game, I know I win the trades, so he can't trade with me. So if the enemy hero can't trade with me, what's their only method of winning the lane?
Asking for support.
And killing you. That's the only way. If they can't trade with you, that's the only way they can win. So you just have to not die. So every decision you make, you know you are the aggressive one in lane. The only thing you have to concern yourself with is whether or not they can kill you with some rotations. So you ask yourself at that point, okay, who in this game kills me? Who on their team kills you here?
I would say I don't think if any one of the hero opponent
Plus
will
Puck.
rotate them.
Then plus Puck, because you have to assume Puck's in the picture, right? So like,
Okay, so assume Park is in the picture. I think maybe Weaver.
maybe Weaver. I would say mainly you're under threat when Pango gets 6. Does that seem reasonable?
Oh yeah, when he got 6.
Yeah, so right now, who kills you? Unless you're like underneath their tier 1, right? Like, unless you're over here. Who kills you if you're just playing like this?
Nobody.
Nobody. So nobody can walk up in the lane. This Puck should get denied every single fucking creep, right? Like, that's what should be happening. So the point is, then the only way you have to think about this is, when's the part where you stop sitting in lane like you're invincible? When they can eventually kill you. When can they kill you? This game in particular, probably Pango 6, right?
Yeah.
Like, but that's part of decision making. At that point, maybe you start pushing the lane in and jungling, right? Like,
okay.
Like, push the lane out, go hit some neutrals while the lane's pushed out, rather than trying to pressure because you know you're killable. That's like an example of decision making. I'd say treads have to be better than phase on TA, but I'm not going to micro that now because I don't, I haven't played the new TA or played the patch with TA. Okay. Oh, there's a bounty run at 7.5. So you just go top.
Because top is literally unbearable. Or the Slark is whining about how hard top lane is. I'm just trying to get a kill.
Okay. So, I understand your Slark is whining. I get that. I get that. Let me rewind this for you. I understand. I respect the notion that your player's whining to you, and he wants you to rotate. What's more impactful, what you just did, or taking a third or more of this tower's health?
To be frankly honest with you, I watch some of your videos.
Okay.
Like, I actually watch a lot of few videos and talk about what's the importance of towers health.
Yeah.
But when I try to execute it, when I see a lane push in, that their mid laner disappeared, and I always go for that. But I did not see the impact I was expecting. Their mid laner did not go mid, go back to mid, defend, and not even a support show up in mid. I'm wondering
Okay.
what type of impact you're talking about.
Okay. So I'm trying to explain this. Okay. So if Pango's level 6 and Pango and Puck are both missing, do I want you to hit this tower?
I really don't, because they can kill me.
Okay. What did we just talk about? Are you killable right now?
I mean, if Pango is 6, then
No, you can literally look at the scoreboard.
Okay.
Are you killable right now?
No.
So hit the fucking tower. It's that simple. Like, actually, I don't know what else to say other than, like, the most useful thing you can do on these type of heroes is hit the damn tower. Like, that's actually the most useful thing you can ever do. Like, if I'm a safe laner, if you watch my stream, this is another decision you can work on, right? I'd say creep aggro for the first, like, when you're playing your games, work on creep aggro for the first, like, 5, 6, 7 minutes, okay? And then whenever you're watching my stream or any other player's stream, okay? Like, whatever you're watching, however much Dota you actually watch, every time the lane's pushing into the tower, what question do I have to ask myself? It's
Can I
always
keep
correct to
pushing?
hit the tower if possible, right? It's always
Yes.
correct. So the only
Yes.
question, I'm sorry for cutting you off, the only question to ask yourself is, am I safe enough to hit this tower? That's the only question you always have to ask yourself, right? Like, it's that simple. Am I safe enough to hit this tower? At this
Okay.
stage in the game, from like 5 to 10 minutes, there is nothing more impactful than hitting a tower for free. Like, there's actually nothing more impactful. Like, if they're diving and they all have no health, okay, maybe. Okay? Maybe you TP to this. Okay? Maybe.
Okay.
Like, you're getting a tower for fucking free on a hero that's farming. Like, you're just farming and killing a building. So, like, at all times, whenever the lane is pushing into the enemy tower, I am asking myself, any other player you're watching is asking themselves, am I safe enough to hit this tower? If you walk up and hit this tower and Puck's missing, what is absolute worst case scenario?
Puck is ganking some sidelines.
If for you though,
What scenario would be?
Puck defends the tower and you walk away and hit a neutral camp,
Oh, okay, that's what you're talking about.
that's worst case scenario for you. Puck nukes this wave. Make
Oh,
her
okay.
nuke the wave.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay.
why she's allowed to gank your Slark. Do you see this? Like, the reason why people are allowed to do whatever they want is because they're not getting pressured. Okay? This is
Okay.
pressure. If you are hitting this tower, if this Slark is not a potato, which you're dealing with potatoes, so I don't care. But, like, you can say, like, if you're hitting this tower and Puck's not here, isn't it really fucking obvious what she's doing? Like,
Yes.
really obvious. So you can be like, Puck's missing. Be careful.
Yeah.
And you need to understand as a player that nothing that Puck can be doing, if your Slark just sits in trees, like if your Slark actually just sits here waiting for Puck to show herself, nothing she can be doing is worth more than what you're doing right here. Nothing.
Oh, okay.
Nothing. Like, as long as your Slark doesn't just casually feed, if he does feed and you're still hitting this tower, that's his fault. Okay? Like,
Oh, okay.
if you tell him Puck's missing and he just continues on his merry way of hitting creeps, that's his fault. Like, there's
Okay.
nothing else to say about it. And you have to understand that. It's not your job to, like, it's your job to communicate that Puck's missing, but it's not your job. Like, it's his job to understand what that means for him. Like, it's not your
Okay.
job to know what he's supposed to do with that. So,
Okay.
your job is to know Puck is missing
Yes.
and to like punish the Puck for missing. Like,
Okay.
make her regret being not in the mid lane. Like, that's the point. So, like, when I'm a carry and I know the offlaner is an Axe or a Enigma that is actually bet, like, if say I'm level 5 and Enigma's level 4, like, say I won the lane and I'm level 5, he's level 4. Would Enigma rather lane against me or jungle?
I would say. So as a laning is And
I'm
make him
saying
a
I'm
lot
level
better.
5, he's level 4, I'm winning the lane. Does he want a jungle or does he want a lane?
You want a jungle.
So what is my job?
Make him not want to jungle.
Make him lane. Make him come to his own tower and,
Oh.
and defend it. Like, make him do that. He doesn't want to do that. Make him put himself at threat. Make him
Okay.
have a support rotate to his lane. Make something happen in that lane because he doesn't want to be there, right? Like, but if you're the Puck, does he want to lane against you?
No.
Make him lane against you. Like,
Okay.
you see what I'm saying? Like,
Okay.
don't
I
goad
see.
him. You are in control. Don't follow him around. Like,
Okay.
make him come to you. Does Coddle want to defend this tower? If you actually leveled your traps like, you know, you always should, and you saw a Coddle blasting from the trees, what happens here?
He should be get killed.
He just dies, right? Like, he just dies. Or at least you force him to blinding light you and use a bunch of mana, and that's all you did was walk at him, right? Like,
Okay.
the point is when you're stronger than people, it's going to require them to expend more resources than you expend in order to counterplay whatever you're doing, okay? So you just
Okay.
need to make them do that. Like, you need to
Okay.
make them use their shit. Like, you need to make them bring a support from the safe lane to you, and suddenly your offlaner's winning. You need to make
Okay.
them, like, defend this tower with somebody, you know? The
Okay.
point is, like, every time you're thinking about hitting a tower, if you are safe enough to do it, you hit that fucking tower. Like, it's that simple. This is never correct.
Okay.
Like, this is not worth. I'll just tell you that right now. Like, look at the mid lane from that kill. Puck is now level 7 for free. Your tower is taking damage. Puck gets rune. Like,
Okay.
imagine if that rune was a DD or a haste. I'm pretty sure you'd be real upset that she got that.
Sure.
Like, meaning instead of you.
Okay.
Like, if you have traps, you're just controlling this entire middle area of the map. Like, Limp, in my opinion, in the NA region, or like, I guess he's a European player, but he plays in NA, is like the best player that I've watched. I watched him play TA one game, and like, he dewarded the guy's sentry like 5 times, and like, just never left mid. Like, you just control the mid area. That's what this hero does. So like, you need to understand each specific hero you're playing. Like, if you want to gain MMR and have, how do I word this? Like, if you want to make the right decisions and you want to execute these like options I'm giving you correctly, you need to actually understand the hero like at a high level that you're playing. So whether that means for you watching the replay, whether that means for you like at this stage, like if I'm telling you to work on creep aggro, if you watch a decent number of my videos, is something I've said before, maybe you haven't caught it in any of my videos, is whenever you're working on something, you want to do your best to isolate that variable. Like, you want to make it so you're only thinking about getting better at that variable, right? Like, because if you're busy at least for me, if I think about 10 things, guess how many of them I'm going to do correctly?
0.
0, because I literally panic. Like, yesterday I played Rubik for the first time in 3 years because Bulba told me to pick it. I'm in a team fight, and I know I'm supposed to lift one guy, steal from another guy, and fade bolt, and I, like, this guy and all that kind of shit. Guess how much of it I did?
None.
I literally panicked and just died. Like, that's how it works. If you have too much to think about in Dota, you're just going to panic and die. Like, or like do something stupid. Like, that's what's going to happen. But like, if you isolate variables, that's how you work on them. Okay. So
Okay.
in this case, what I'm saying is if you're going to work on creep aggro and you're going to work on the decisions I'm telling you to be better at right now, pick your best hero and play it 8 games in a row and creep aggro every fucking game. Like, play it perfectly. Whatever your best hero is. And these decisions, like, what's your best hero?
I spam a lot on Ember Spirit.
Okay, so Ember Spear, like, the thing about that hero that is his weakness is that he obviously has like a rough landing stage. But like
really, really rough. I barely pick. I mean, if they did not pick their mid hero, I'm not going to pick Ember.
Is there a more lane dominating type hero you like to play?
I can play Monkey King, but Monkey King. I say Monkey King.
Okay, you would say Monkey King. I'm giving you a choice of like, you know, whatever lane dominating hero you think you're best at. So like, pick that hero like 3rd or 4th, right? Like, maybe there's a hero that will beat you in lane. Like, you might not always have the best lane matchup, but pick him 3rd or 4th and learn this kind of stuff, like creep aggroing aggressively or defensively. You know, whether or not to push the tower. Learn that kind of stuff through one hero. Okay, because then I basically say this: if I can't do it on Slark, I can't do it on anyone else. Like, if there's a decision that's supposed to be made, if I can't make that decision, like myself, if I can't make that decision properly on Slark, there's no fucking way I'm making that decision properly on a hero I've only played 50 times. Like, there's no way. Because I've played 700 games of Slark. So there's like, if I can't do it on Slark, who can I do it on? So like, like when I did tread switching, like when I learned tread switching, I just did 30 games of Slark in a row. That's how I learned tread switching. And it's like, if I can't tread switch on Slark, I can't do it on anyone else. But now, like, I've been, you know, I can now tread switch on other heroes. So, but the point is, like, you have to start somewhere. And if you're busy, like, playing your 20th game of TA or whatever, like, I'm not saying, you know, you have, like, whatever it is, you're not going to be focused. You're going to be so focused on making sure you mechanically play TA correctly that there's no way you can also mechanically focus on creep aggro and shit, right? Like, there's just no way. It's not realistic. So that's something I basically just want to tell you is moving on from this game, like, make sure, like, this tower, like, all these decisions being made, like, and if you want to do it on Monkey King and you want to worry about tower hitting decisions, watch a really good player play Monkey King in a match and, like, see what they do, like, and just ask yourself why they're doing it and try to figure it out. Like, why does this guy not feel safe enough to hit this tower? Why does this guy go up to this fight? Why? What else is happening? And, like, try to figure that out. That's the only thing you can really do to get better. Okay, so this is fine. You're unkillable, so this is a fine play.
Killing spree.
This is good. Okay, that was a good aggressive play.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
So what matters right now? You're pushing top right now, right?
I wouldn't. To be honest, when I played that game, at that moment, I was just thinking, like, I should not allow them to play that aggressive because I think I'm the strongest hero at that moment of the game, and
Okay.
I should at least let them respect me. At
Okay.
least.
That is correct. That is absolutely correct. So my question is, okay, what are you thinking right now as you're hitting these creeps? Up until this point, I'm happy with what you did. What are you thinking while you're hitting these creeps?
Because they're creeps to give you money. That's all I think of. All I was thinking.
That is true. They do that. So, okay. I'm actually thinking how I want to approach this for you. So, up until this point, I want to be clear. Up until this point, you walking at them and bullying the puck away was great. Happy. Great job. Like, actually. No sarcasm. Good. So, you've accomplished that. That accomplishment, what did that do? Like, by bullying the puck away, what did that do?
So that our top laner can get close to tower and get tower damage done.
Okay. So, when you're looking at these creeps, or when you're about to hit these creeps, what matters to you?
Am I safe to do that? And if I am safe to do that, what kind of things I'm allowing my teammates to do?
Okay. So, if you're allowing your teammates to hit top, what do you care about top?
Because
No, what do you care about? Like, what in the lane are you caring about? How much damage to the tower he's doing?
not a lot, because he is Slark. He does not have much.
But how do you know? What if he had 9 creeps on the tower? Do you understand? Okay. My point that I try to make about these decisions is I can tell everything about you by seeing your player perspective. So, based on when I asked you, what are you thinking about when you're killing these creeps? And your answer is, I'm thinking about the creeps. There's a lot of money here. That's pretty obvious to me that that's all you're thinking about when I look at your player perspective.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
I want you to look and see, how much damage is this tower going to take? Is this lane pushing in? Do I have to go here? Is there a fight that I possibly want to show up to bottom?
Oh, okay.
I want you to look and see what the fuck's going on in the game. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you just bullied this guy.
Okay.
You're now killing some creeps that are worth money, yay, but we know that. Like, we don't have to think about that. They're worth money. What's going on in this game? What am I doing next? So the goal of Dota, in terms of proper decision-making, is... Okay. So you played aggressively, right? You did the right thing where you showed up in this spot to go to bounty runes. That was the reason you showed up, right? And the reason you
Yes.
showed up was there was bounty runes. And the reason you showed up at the bounty runes is because you knew you were strong enough to go to the bounty runes. Cool. Objective done. You just bullied the puck away. So right now you're doing an objective, right? Like, meaning you're killing a creep wave. You're doing something right now that matters. So the only way to properly make decisions fast enough, is it proper to kill this entire creep wave and then try to figure it out? No, you figure it out while you're killing this creep wave. Like,
Okay.
while you're doing something. Like, no, that no longer requires your attention. Like, you're just going to kill these creeps. Like, they're gonna die. Like, so I can't like look away while I'm trying to bully the puck, right? I can't like bully the puck and look around the map while I'm doing that, right? Like, okay, I bullied the puck. Now look, like I'm now hitting these creeps. What's going on this map? So for me, I'm killing these creeps. Sometimes you don't even have to look. I know I just bullied puck. I know Elder Titan's dead. I see Pangolier mid, and I see my Enigma getting bullied by a Coddle Weaver bottom. So all I really care about is how many creeps are in each lane. So in this case, I would literally go doink. Okay, I'm not going to push that. Oh, it's a level 4 Pango. Don't want to give him free farm. Okay, bottom. My Enigma's level 6, but it's a Weaver. So where would I go? I'm going mid. Like, that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
And then the next question is, how quickly do I want to get there? Well, you don't have a TP, so I guess we're walking. That's a big deal that you don't have a TP, by the way. So I guess we're walking. So my point is, I know I'm going mid next. I know that because I've made that decision. So you're going to kill this creep. Where are you going to go? Let's find out. So you end up going mid. I think this is good. Good. The point is, though, there are going to be games where your urgency of decision making has to be way faster than that. And in this game, your lack of thinking ahead doesn't matter. Like, it didn't punish you, okay? But when you're hitting a creep wave and all you're thinking about is that creep wave, that's a big problem. So people ask me all the time, or like, you know, they see us lol all the time at this stage in the game. The reason why pro players miss creeps at this stage in the game is because while they're hitting the creeps, they're also looking at the map and trying to think about what's going on the map so that they know exactly what to do next. That's why they're missing creeps, right? Like, the perfect scenario for a pro player is to be able to look around the map, have perfect map awareness, and get all the creeps. But I will tell you, it is more important to have better map awareness than it is to get all the creeps.
Okay.
So the point is, if you always focus on creeps, your map awareness is never going to get any better. So the process that happens is, you're going to start focusing on the map a lot more. Meaning, I want you, every time you're hitting a creep wave like this, where you're not in immediate danger. The only time this is an exception is if I'm a Slark, I know 3 heroes are missing, and if I'm not ready to immediately Dark Pact, I'm going to die. That's like, that's an exception, right? Because the point is, though, how did I learn that was an exception? I was farming a jungle camp, I knew I was in danger, I moved my camera to another lane, and then I got ganked and died. And I realized, oh, it was probably more important for me to be on my own hero than it was to know what was going on bottom lane. So it's just like creep aggro. You should learn to check the map all the time, and then learn when it's incorrect to check the map.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's the same concept. So my point is, I'm emphasizing to you and everyone else that you need to understand that it's more important to know what is going on in the game than it is to get all these creeps. So what happens is, the natural process is, you're going to look around the map, you're going to try to figure out what's going on in the game, and you're going to feed casually, and you're going to miss a bunch of creeps. And eventually, that's not going to happen anymore, because you're so used to instinctually checking the map and figuring out when you're supposed to do it, that you're no longer going to feed anymore. Like, you're going to not only be able to get the creeps, but you're also going to be able to check the map. So this is the lesson I learned from Demon like 3.5 years ago. He basically told me, you know, I don't care if you get all the creeps. It's worth missing those 2 creeps if you knew that you should have shown up to this fight bottom. Like, that's basically what he told me a long time ago. So the point is, and like, I'll be honest, I didn't really believe him. And I basically thought I was hot shit. And it took me like a year or 2 to actually listen to that advice. And I can only tell you, it's in your best interest to listen to better players. I, from my own experience, guys, I had my arrogance too. So, point is that's what we're trying to say here is it's all about priorities. So this point is you walk to mid lane. You got to the mid lane. You're now at the objective you're supposed to be doing. You know your objective right now in the short term is to kill this fucking creep wave. So you've got the 4 seconds or whatever that you're killing this creep wave to think about what you're doing next. Okay?
Okay.
That's the point. So while you're killing this creep wave, I see a Weaver bottom. I see a Elder Titan top. I know Pango's still level 5. I know Puck has no coil. Am I killable once I have Refraction up?
No.
No, because Puck has no coil. So I need to chill until Refraction. But once I get Refraction up, I can walk up to this tower. Can I not?
Sure, you can.
Yeah, sure. Because once I have Refraction, I'm good. But until then, so where are you going? Okay, moving on.
Middle tower is under attack.
Gonna go hit some creeps, but that's another tower that's not dying. I guarantee you, your win percentage will be 75% if this tower dies before 10 minutes.
Okay.
Like, if this tower dies, if you shit on mid lane that hard, I don't want to say 75%. It will clearly be above 50% if you kill this tower before 10 minutes as a mid lane. It will be. I promise. That tower is incredibly important. So the point is, like, knowing when or not to hit it is very important. Okay, so let's see. Now I wouldn't want to be here. Why?
Because Park's coil should be ready.
Okay.
And,
Weaver's missing. Elder Titan's
Yeah.
missing. Right?
yeah, Bear and the only other hero showed up. Oh no other hero showed up. So.
Okay. So, same idea. I'm hitting this creep wave. I see Puck. They see, in relevance to your own decision making, it matters what the opponent sees. They see my Enigma. They know my only source of team fight isn't with me. I know Puck has coil again. I know Weaver's missing. I know Pangalier's missing. I know Coddle's missing. So am I intending to push this tower?
No.
No. And this all needs to be figured out while I'm hitting this creep wave. So the minute I finish hitting this creep wave, where am I going?
And the safest option is just go hit the jungles.
Okay, absolutely. Right? Am I in farm mode or go kill people mode?
I should be at farm mode
Because I'm pretty close to Deathlite.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? So in my first session, he was a Monkey King. So when he had this moment where he doesn't want to be in his lane anymore, this is the moment where you've established, I don't want to push this tower. So in his game, he's an aggressive hero. So I asked him to think about, since he's an aggressive hero, where does he want to go be aggressive? But you're in farm mode right now. So you pushed out the lane. You know you don't want to be here anymore. Where do you go farm? And you need to be thinking about that while you're killing the creeps. Okay? So obviously it's not going to be perfect, right? The first, when I tell you to do this and you know you're supposed to think about during the creeps, there's 2 things that are going to happen. 1, you're either not going to be able to think about it clearly, or 2, while you're thinking about it, you're going to miss all the creeps. That's the 2 options that will happen initially. Okay.
Okay.
So, and you have to understand that that's going to happen, and it's fine. The point is, the goal is, once you finish that creep wave, before you finish it, you know exactly where you're going next. That's the inevitable goal. And so I would say, what's the most convenient camp for you to jungle first, right now?
And the one on the top.
Right here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where you go. Right here. No hesitation. Get out of here. This guy's respawning. Puck has coil. Weaver's missing. Pangalier's missing. Coddle's missing. Why? Right? If they're here, are you dead? Yes. Okay. Simple as that.
Okay.
Whenever I'm thinking about a tower push, I ask myself, if they're all here, or the guy TP's in, do I just die? If the answer is yes, yep, see?
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
And this works out somehow. I feel like that's just really bad coordination by the opponent. Oh, nope, okay, terrible play. Cool. I'm glad you got punished for it, right? Was all of this predictable?
Thanks for playing Dota 2.
If I think that the way you think it should be predictable.
All of it was so predictable, right? I haven't even seen this game, right? To the viewers out there, I have not seen this game. And I know what's going to happen is bad. because of all the reasons I just gave you. Do I expect you to know all those reasons? No. I need you to start thinking about them. Like,
Okay.
I need you to start thinking that way. Like whenever I load into a game and I pick my hero first off. So for the short term, you're going to pick the same hero over and over again, okay? I honestly think for your problems to happen or like to be fixed, the big problem is to be frank, the thinking isn't happening at all, okay? So like you need to initiate it. Like you need to start. And we need to simplify that as much as possible. So my recommendation in the immediate short term for you is to play the same hero probably 50 games in a row. If you're willing to. Like however many games in a row you're willing to play the same hero, you need to do it. And I need you to then not have that hero become a crutch. Like please do not then lead that into playing that hero only, right? My point, you need to understand that what I'm telling you to do is understand creep aggro, understand this decision making, all the stuff that I'm talking to you about right now on one hero. And you need to understand why. Like you need to think about why, right? Like you need to think, okay, on TA, I'm killable with Puck, Weaver, and Pango. Okay? If those three heroes can be here, I'm out, right? So it's like you'll start understanding the limitations of that hero. When I play a hero I haven't played very often, my approach is I make an educated guess at what I think it can kill me. And then sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes you just look like an idiot and you feed because I think I'm survivable enough and then I just die, right? Like that's what happens when you're learning a new hero or like you're trying to get better at a hero you're not as good at. You're trying to get better at a hero you're not as good at. So my point though is you're not doing this thought process on anybody. So I want you to just perfect it on one hero and then move it on to other heroes. So like once you've gotten creep aggro and tower pressure down on one hero, however many games that takes you, like it's not going to be perfect, but you feel like you have a way better understanding of why you're doing what you're doing, even if it's not perfect. Like you're like, okay, at least I know why I'm hitting this tower. Like then you can look to move on to other heroes. And the point that I'm trying to make is every hero is different, right? So like on Ember, like as long as you can remnant out, that hero can do whatever the fuck he wants, right? On the other hand, if you have a Medusa or a Viper type hero, if those heroes fall out of position, they're super tanky, but if they're out of position, they're just going to die because they just die. They can't do anything other than move and they're low move speed. So like they can't do anything. So with all those things being said, the thought process is the most important part. So please push yourself to think. Like you have to understand. I am reemphasizing this because of how important it is, and I know from the mistakes I've made. It is going to fuck you up, okay? Like it is going to mess up your internal ability to play this game. Like, but you'll be so thankful for it later, is basically what I'm trying to tell you. You're going to start thinking about this shit. You're going to mechanically potato the fuck out of the game. Like, you're just going to do some random mechanical shit. You're going to be like, what the hell was I doing? And then eventually that's not going to happen anymore. But in the short term, that will be what happens. So, it's interesting. This is the first time in a while it's funny to me because mechanically and stuff, like what I'm seeing is above your level, but conceptually it's way below. Like that's the problem we're seeing here. So everyone's a bit different, which is always intriguing to me. Same thing here. Puck coils up. Okay. So a commonality you're going to notice in every game you play is if you could have taken a tower at some point, the next point where you'll be able to take it is usually way down the road. So if you remember that you were unkillable before Pango 6, before Elder Titan 6, before Coddle 6, remember that time? Remember the good old days?
Yeah.
Now, how often are you hitting this fucking tower?
Oh, I see.
Like, you're never hitting it anymore. Because
like if they shoot too, and if like Pango or Puck, if Pango Puck showed up,
you're just dead.
I just gotta go.
Yeah, at this point, you can't hit the tower anymore. So it makes it even more important that you were supposed to hit the tower. So like
okay.
when you were in lane, right? The reason why in this lane that your early mistakes didn't matter. Can you give me your best guess of why your early mistakes in the lane didn't matter that much?
Because they were like me. They just want to beat people down instead of focusing on objectives.
I want you to think about the dynamic of the TA Puck matchup. Why did your early mistakes not matter?
Because Park will always want to move around, get kills because he cannot lane with me, and
As the lane goes on, who gets stronger?
TA.
Okay, so why did your early game mistakes not matter that much? Because as the lane goes on, it's going to get easier for you anyways.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
You see that? So
Oh, okay.
the reason why your mistake of not killing this tower is a big deal is because as the game goes on, it becomes more difficult for you to kill this tower.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if you don't do something while you can do it, that's a very costly mistake. So, like, the point is, if this Puck were to fuck up a ton level 1, her game is going to be over. Because you're going to be level 3, she's level 2, and the lane gets harder for her as the game goes on, right? So, they're actually just fucked. Like, they're actually just done for. If you're the hero that naturally wins the matchup as the game goes on, you'll have a lot more mistake leeway in the early levels. Like, it happened yesterday. For anyone who watched my stream yesterday, I was sniper against OD. I'm like, as this lane goes on, I get levels and take aim, he can't do shit. So, that's a good matchup for me. I played the first 2 waves so badly, I couldn't even believe it. I had like 1 CS after 2 waves, but I still ended up having a good game because I was in a matchup that was favorable. Like, as the matchup goes on, I was in a matchup that turns out to be favorable. If I was the OD and did the same thing, I'm going to be level 4 when he's level 7. Like, that's just how it is. The point is, you need to understand, like, just because certain things don't get punished, you know, it doesn't mean that they're not mistakes, right? Like, so... Like, just like when you walked mid and got here, that time it didn't matter because your decision-making didn't require any amount of, like, hastiness to it. But in certain games, it's going to be really important that you're at the tower 2 seconds after you kill that creep wave. And if you're not thinking about it while you're killing the creep wave, you're just not going to be there in time. So this tower definitely should have died earlier. And I would say it mainly comes down to that 7-minute rotation where you chose to counterplay the Puck rather than just hit her tower. But okay, so now you see 2 bottom, 2 top. Let's see. Fast forwarding. This should definitely be in your inventory. Obviously, an obvious thing. Meaning, like, it, you know, doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that one. So I definitely feel like overall, and it sounds like you knew this going into this session. It kind of feels like you're just operating on autopilot, and this is something that is pretty common in your bracket. Like, usually it's a lot of reason why players in your bracket kind of just stay there. Because they play Dota for the sake of playing, and the fact of the matter is, for all of you guys here, if you're playing Dota and you actually want to gain MMR, you have to start thinking about it, what you're doing. Like, it's just how it is. If you really want to reliably gain MMR. If you keep playing Dota, sure, over time you'll slowly but surely gain MMR just because you are playing. But if you actually want to gain MMR at a, you know, reliably noticeable rate, like you're actually seeing progress, this is how you have to start thinking. So right now, let's see, play it out here. You have a Deso, obviously a delayed Deso because of all the stuff we've seen. Killing Coddle because Puck was dead. Moving on. All this stuff is just happening. Please buy a Blink. They have Elder Titan and Coddle, 2 backlining supports that require people to jump them. Otherwise, they just shit on team fights. So, if you think about the game that way, even if it wasn't normally a Blink hero, like, you might still consider a Blink. Like, if I'm a Terrorblade in this game, I'm probably going 3rd or 4th item Blink Dagger, because
even though it's not a item I love to buy on Terrorblade, if I don't close the gap on these heroes, they just fucking kill me or like crowd control me and I can't do anything. So I'm either buying a Blink on Terrorblade or I'm going like third or fourth or like first item Hurricane Pike in this type of game because like they're two backlining supports. Like I have to be able to get on top of them. So it's not acceptable. If I look at this fight, okay. Decision making. Let's talk about items. Can I walk at these heroes? The heroes they have. Can I walk at them?
No.
So do I buy items that make me walk at them faster?
Not the case.
No, because you can't walk at them in fights. Like when you're in fights, you can't just walk at them. So you can't buy items that walk at them. Like that can't be what you buy. Like it just can't be. So it's like in certain games, if I ask, can you walk at them? And the guy says, if I'm magic immune, sure. And I'm like, okay. So then buy a BKB. But then they say, well, I don't want to buy a BKB. I'm like, well, okay, then buy one farming item, then go BKB. The point is, like, can you play fights with the items you have? And so it's like, I look at your items and say, I have a damage item. So for the damage item to matter, I need to be able to hit people. Like, this is my thought process. I need to be able to hit people. So my way of hitting people on TA, my only limitation is that I'm short range. So I need to be able to get on top of them. So then I ask myself, how do I do that best? Well, I can't walk at these heroes. So the only way I'm ever going to deal damage is by blinking on them. That's the only way I'm ever going to deal damage. So, like, that's the type of thought process I have. So, like, if I know in order to participate in fights that I need a BKB, but they have heroes that just kite me, I'm not just going to go first item BKB, because if I go BKB and they run away from me, that looks real bad. Like, that doesn't feel good. So I'll need to buy an item that allows me to catch them, and then buy a BKB, and then fight them. Right? Like, that's how that works. Right? Do you see that thought process? Like, oh, I need a BKB to fight, but I also need to be able to catch them. So I'll go catch item, then BKB.
Oh, okay.
You see that? Like, in this case, like, I don't know how else to explain it, but, like, if you ask yourself at the start of the game, and this is something you can do at the start of the game. So, when I'm TA, like, there's only real two decisions to make. Like, we're not going to overcomplicate heroes. Let's just follow the cookie cutter shit that everyone does. Everyone, if you watch a pro game, will buy a Blink and a Deso. Like, 99% of games, they'll buy a Blink and a Deso. So, the only decision we have as a TA is whether or not we go Blink Dagger first or Deso first. And what would determine that? What does Deso imply? What am I doing with a Deso?
You can both farm and fight with it.
You can kind of fight, but mainly you farm faster, right? Like, you can maybe do Roche. You can Roche, potentially. You can farm faster. So generally, what people will do is if they think their job is to farm that game, say they have, like, an active type carry or an offlaner that's, like, really active too, like a ganking offlaner, they're like, okay, I don't necessarily need to be active this game. I'll just buy a Deso and hit more creeps. But then if you look at your lineup and your offlaner's an Enigma and your safe laner's a Slark, I would actually say this is a Blink Dagger first game. Because neither of those heroes does shit for the first 15 minutes of the game. Like, they actually don't do anything, right? Like, Slark wants to sit there farming until Shadowblade. Enigma wants to farm like 3 items. So if anybody's going to rotate, it's you. AA doesn't rotate. Mirana doesn't rotate. Like, that hero doesn't set up shit. Like, she's like a follow-up. So in this game, I actually would have gone Blink first. I don't think you can Blink out of Coil anymore. But the old, like, honestly, if you have a Blink Dagger, the only way you die is Coil. Like, that's actually the only way you die this game. If you have a Blink Dagger, you can't die any other way. And that's like a nice thing to do in games where, like I told you, if you're playing like a snowballing laner, like if you can buy some item early game that makes it so you just die to one hero or you don't die at all, I think that's the easiest way to play Dota. Like, it may not always be the most efficient, but like, if I know I'm a PL and I'm against the only way I die is an Ember Spirit, if I just go first item Manta, my game's like way easier to play because I can get away from anything. The only way they kill me is chainsing me and killing me. Okay, buy a Manta, I'm unkillable. Like, easy. Like, that's something I will do. And it's not always the best approach, but if you do that, like, it'll make your game a lot easier to play. So, like, my point is, when I look at your items, like, you need to have a game plan. Like, you need to look at the start of the game and be like, okay, So I can't fight until these items. I can't split push survivably until these items. Like if you're an Ember, for instance, and you're against no heroes that disable you. Okay, no, you're against a Lion. The only hero on the entire enemy team that disables you is Lion, okay? So you need to worry about his blink. But before his blink, they can't really gank you as long as you're not out of position, right? So by
Yes.
the time he gets a blink, what will make your game easier to play?
Get a Lincoln.
But yeah, so you need to think about like, you know, is it a 5-position Lion? Is it a 4-position Lion? Is it a mid Lion? Whatever it is. If it's a mid Lion, you're definitely not getting a Lincoln's before his blink or whatever. So in that case, maybe you just need to buy more tanky items. Like give yourself like a wand and a Wraith Band and all that kind of shit too. You know what I'm saying? Like just a bunch of tanky items. But the point is, you need to be prepared for that circumstance to happen. So like you need to consider as the game goes on, I will eventually need a Lincoln's. I will eventually need one. So if I eventually need a Lincoln's, I can't go like Boots of Travel Battle Fury and then Lincoln's. Because Lincoln's itself doesn't offer you any damage or aggression. It's a completely defensive item. So you need to also have items that allow you to actually be a hero in the game. Like you actually need to do stuff. So like if I need to protect myself with an item, I need the other items to make me relevant. So like if I was a Slark and I said I need a BKB to fight, I'm not going to go like Echo Saber first because I also need to be able to close the gap. So if I need to be able to close the gap and I need a BKB, I'm going to have Shadow Blade and BKB. Those are my first two items because I need to have both. Right? Like that's the point I'm trying to make. I like every game a hero has weaknesses. Every game a hero has conditions for when they can fight, when they can split push, when they can push towers.
BSJ promo.
And you need to do your best to ask yourself when those things apply. Like, why? What does an item do for you? So, like, when I'm in this game and I'm thinking to myself, the point of an item like Yasha is it makes you do what you're already doing better. So, like, if I'm a hero that's just looking to farm, or I'm a hero like Jug that just wants to fight and farm, it lets me walk around in fights. It lets me walk around from camp to camp. It lets me attack faster. All that stuff is done faster. But, like, if I just die while that happens, I don't want to buy a Yasha. Because even if I walk around faster, if I'm dying anyways, who cares? Like,
Oh, okay.
you know, like, you need, if the game... Okay, I'm trying so badly how to think about this because it's so hard to conceptualize it. Okay, so items like Yasha, items like Echo Saber, items like... Let me look at items. Kaya. These luxury items is what I call them. Something I've talked about a decent amount on stream. I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about these kind of items. Even Veil, right? Like if I'm a Necro, Veil makes me do more damage. But it doesn't actually, like, other than the 5 armor it provides, it doesn't actually, or whatever it is, 6 armor. Other than that, it doesn't actually make me live anymore. It just makes me do more damage. So, like, if I'm against a Pugna, and I have a Veil, he's just gonna decrep me, blast me, and kill me with his ult anyways. So it doesn't matter that I can do more damage, because I just die. If I'm against a Pugna, I need to be able to live first. I need to be able to actually... like have a hood or a force staff to get away from him, right? Like there are certain items that make you do what you're already doing better. And then there's other items that address other heroes, like or address weaknesses for you. So like if you're an Ember, for instance, and you're against a Quap, and they have no other way of killing you other than that Quap buying an Orchid, what might be an early to mid game item you could buy on Ember?
Yule Scepter?
Yeah, Yule Scepter, right? And if you could look at that at the start of the game and be like, I'm going to buy a Yule's this game. Now, the question is, when do I buy it? Like, do I buy it after Maelstrom? Do I buy it after a Blade Mail? Do I buy it first item? Like, the only thing you know at the start of the game is you're buying that damn Yule's. Like, I don't know when, but I'm buying it. And that's easy to help you. Like, when I look at my games, like, if I'm a carry against Treant Protector, I know 90% of the time I'm buying a Manta. Like, now the question is, where am I going to plug that Manta in? Like, where is it going? I know I'm against Tree, because if I have a BKB and I run in BKB'd and Tree just overgrowths me, That's real sad. That's real sad. Maybe they made it so Overgrowth doesn't work through BKB. I can't remember. But the point is, like with this patch. But the point is, I look at my hero and be like, what do they do to stop me from playing my hero? Like, what is preventing me from just literally playing Dota? Like, in this game, they have 2 backlining supports that, let's be honest, are some of the most obnoxious crowd-controlling supports in the entire game. Like, I actually can't think of a combination of backlining supports that's more crowd control heavy than Coddle and ET. Like, Blinding Light, plus his ult, plus his nuke, Spirit, plus Stomp, plus ulti. Like, so much of that can literally kill me from like 600, like, or 1,000 range. So the only way I can play this game is by getting within melee range of these 2 heroes. And then, after I have Desolator Blink Dagger in this game, if I don't have a BKB, am I just gonna feed?
Sure.
When you blink on that Coddle, don't you just die, right? Like, if once you've hit like 25 minutes in the game, if you go Manta or Crit or something, 3rd item, you're just gonna die the minute you blink on that Coddle, because like you're gonna get, Blink, Silence, Coiled, and then Pangolier follow up and all that kind of stuff. So like in this game, I'm going Blink Dagger, Desolator, BKB, right? And like, here's my emphasis.
Oh, okay.
I don't expect you to make that decision perfectly. I need you to start thinking like that, though. Like, I need you to start thinking like that. So, like, if you're going to play Monkey King, there's kind of, like, 2 options you can go with your build. You can go more farm heavy, or you can go more aggressive heavy. I would say, for the sake of simplicity right now, I would look to always try to be aggressive. Always try to be. So then the question is, what's the best item for being aggressive? Is it Echo Saber? Is it Shadow Blade? Is it something like a damage item like Deso? What is your best aggressive item? And simply put, look at their heroes. What do you need in order to be aggressive? Like, it's that simple, but it's harder to do than it is to, like, just say, oh, just build the right item against their heroes. Like, it's much harder. So, like, but you're good enough, right? You know what Coddle and ET do. Like, you know what those heroes do. Like, you know how they play. So now you need to start telling yourself, like, oh, that's how that hero plays. I know I've been giving you a speech for, like, a really long time. But this speaks heaps and bounds for me to see you go Yasha against these heroes. Like, it speaks so much to me that you do that. So, let's see. What time are we at right now? So we're at about an hour. Do you have another replay I can watch? And we'll like fast forward through it real quick and just give you an example on another hero rather than just TA. And then we'll call it a day. I think I've given you enough to work on, but I want to make sure you have more than just TA as an example.
Let's see. I have another game that I think I have another game that I know more. I have more clues, but I still want you to.
Okay, cool. And we'll go through this game in about 10 minutes, and then we'll call it. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them right now that I haven't answered.
Okay. Okay.
Let's see. Watch. Game?
I thought I had to type the ID within the.
No, I know. I'm copy.
Okay,
I copy pasted your ID.
So just launch.
Oh,
really
it was just giving me shit for whatever reason. What hero? It looks like
I'm playing Ember.
You're playing Ember. Okay, so in this game you do have Boots of Travel Battle Fury, which can be okay. But let's see what.
This game is so awkward. I don't even like. We have a good, at least a decent 20 minutes in the first 20 minutes, but I don't know for what reason we are engaging fights after 20 minutes again against a weird dude Tide Hunter. Just lose all the team fights and just
I'm not worried about that. I'm going to tell you right now. I've said this in like probably 75% of my coaching sessions. You're not at the point where I care about 20 minutes plus. Like, all Dota is it's pretty similar decisions. The game just gets more complicated as the game goes on.
Okay.
It actually just gets more complicated. If you can't make the proper item decisions and rotation decisions at 7 minutes in the game, there's no way in fuck you're doing it at 30. Like, there's actually just no way. There's no way.
Okay.
So we need to get you making the right decisions to start. And I want you to understand for your own sanity that once you get to 20-minute mark, play by feel. Like, just play how you feel. Okay? Like, just don't stress yourself out. At that point, you've done your homework. If you're doing everything I'm telling you to do up until 20 minutes, still try to like think critically about your items and stuff, but then just play by feel, because otherwise there's so much to process, you're not going to be able to process it. Like,
Okay.
if you can't process the right decisions for the first 20 minutes, it's like trying to learn to run before you learn to walk. Like, just know that this stuff gets harder as the game goes on. So you're against TA. So let's see. We're just gonna fast forward a bit.
Yeah.
Why Sleight of Fist?
Because TA against Ember will always go for that second skills, and I want to use Sleight Fist dodge that.
Interesting. Do they go at level? They don't go at level 2 though, right? They go at level like 4.
I mean, it depends. I mean, if I would play that matchup, I would just go. I would not learn Refraction.
I feel like that's
Kinda
for the
too
sake of
extreme.
saving time. I feel like you're just wrong. So like
Okay,
I feel like TAs nowadays will always take Refraction because, how do I word this? It's like if I max Essence Shift on Slark and then lose my lane, what happens to me?
You cannot farm.
I'm literally fucked, right? Like I can't do anything. So like if he like goes meld and then loses his lane somehow, like one little gank goes wrong, he just like his game's over. So for the sake of most games, it's correct to do the build, even if it slightly sacrifices like the perfect play in your lane, to make it so that if one little thing goes wrong, you don't just lose the game. Like that's so. Point being, like I would consider him going meld to level 4 being reasonable, and in that case, I would go 1-0. Like okay, so I'd go E, then Q, then E, then maybe W, just to prevent the meld strike at level 4. Like that's what I would do. So I understand. I like that you had a specific reason to level Slight, but I'm in the mindset that if he levels meld level 2, like he's just throwing. Like that's how I'm under the impression. I may be wrong though. So this is a spot where how important is lane equilibrium? Like how important is it that it's on your hill compared to up here?
It's safer.
But why is it important? It's not safer. Are you worried about getting ganked at a minute in?
I mean, if I
You have a bounty hunter, right?
yeah.
What about his perspective? Why is it important that it's here?
So the bounty hunter can gank TA.
Yeah, isn't he under more threat? And doesn't your flame guard, like the threat of your flame guard is directly related to the fact that you can walk at him? And if the wave's here, you can walk this far. If the wave's here, you can walk nowhere.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Like,
okay.
you see what I'm saying? So, like,
I see.
this is when you hold the creeps outside of tower range.
Okay.
And he should be doing the same thing, by the way. But guess
Okay.
what? You're in 4K. So he's not doing the same thing. He's killing the creeps just like you do. And that's where if you do everything correctly, eventually somebody will mess up and you'll capitalize on it. But if both of you mess up, then it's like you both played it correctly. Okay, so effectively at least. Okay, so I talked about creep aggro. Another thing, like I'm telling you all the videos on Game Leap, it's the coaching simulation course. If you're willing to do the homework, it's all under the coaching simulation course, and I'm mentioning creep aggro to you, and now I'm mentioning creep equilibrium. In this case, it's creep equilibrium, understanding the importance of why the lane should be here, right? Like why you would want it to be there, if possible.
Okay.
That's what I mean by that. So half of the understanding of creep equilibrium is knowing where it's supposed to, or more than half, is knowing why you want it where you want it. And generally that's asking like, you know, what's my strength in this lane? Oh, I'm an Ember. What's your strength as Ember against TA? It's your kill threat on TA. That's what gives you strength. And if you're here, that gives you kill threat. If you're here, it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
So that's why the lane equilibrium in this case matters. Notice how your chase potential is all about your aggression, right? Like that's what matters to you, is how far you can chase the TA. I'm not saying like you did something wrong there. I'm saying that like that it shows there why you being able to chase her is so important. Okay, so you go block, good. Okay, that's what I was hoping you'd do. Fast forwarding. So I'm emphasizing this lane would be way better if you used creep aggro ever, but you actually get the kill there. So you outplayed him. That was good. Look at that. He leveled Mel to level 4. So
Okay.
let me tell you how many times I've played Ember versus TA. Probably twice, and they were 4 years ago. The emphasis I'm making is I just know what these heroes do. I don't play either of them very well, okay?
Okay.
But I will skill build correctly. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, I may
I see.
incorrectly play the lane because I'm not used to playing it. But, like, this stuff can be gauged at the start of the game. Like, if the only games that I mess this shit up, I will say it on stream sometimes, is when, one, I don't know the matchup, which is less often the case. Sometimes it still happens, though. But usually it's because I'm simply not thinking about it. Like, I'm just not thinking. I just space out. I do something stupid because I'm like, oh yeah. Like, today I fed on Slark because I forgot Coddle's ultimate changed. Like, I just forgot. I'm like, oh, I can just TP out if I get in trouble. And then I tried to TP and Coddle just ulted me as Slark. And I'm like, oh, whoops. Like, I forgot that he does that.
Okay.
Like, almost every decision you make will be because, like, that's improper. Will either be because you don't know the right answer or because you're not thinking about it. And I feel like your main issue is you're not thinking, not that you don't know the right answer. I think the only example where you didn't know the right answer was you thought TA would level Mel to level 2. Aside from that, I think you've just, like, not thought about it. So, at this stage, okay, so you're getting bounties. And shrining. Okay. So, I think it's fine that you gesture at these bounty runes. But TA just pushed in this wave. This is what matters, right? Your mid lane is what matters to you. TA just pushed in this wave. You see your bounty hunter picking up the rune uncontested. Walk back and kill this wave, and then go shrine. Like, this TA is not going to kill you when she's level 5. Do you see what I'm saying? If this TA was level 6, okay, go shrine. Because she can kill you. But she's not going to kill you when she's level 5. So, go get these creeps under your own tower. And then go shrine.
Okay.
You see this?
Oh, I see.
Okay. It's just a small little example, right? But, like, why are you shrining? To have full health, full mana. What does full health, full mana do for you? Makes it so TA can't kill you. TA can't kill you, so go farm these 2 creeps, and then go get it, you know? That's like a... Thinking it like... It's not as simple as, I just want full health, full mana. Because there's times where I see players in your bracket, in the mid-game, like 20 minutes in, get 3 kills, be like right here, like they're on Dire, they get 3 kills, they're right here, there's a creep wave hitting the tower, they have half mana and no health, and the entire enemy team can't be here. And they just back up because they want full health, full mana. I'm like, you don't need full health, full mana if they can't do anything to you. Like, who cares? If they can't kill you, why do you need full health, full mana? Like, hit the tower. Like, there are times where you can do things even if you don't have full health, full mana. Have a specific reason why you need full health, full mana, and that will make your decision on whether or not to go to base, or to shrine, or fly yourself regen. It'll make it a better decision. Like, you'll understand more clearly why. We are about to have to wrap up this session. So overall, you're outplaying him because you've played a lot of Ember. But there's a lot of these fundamental things I'm still seeing, and they apply to Ember just as much as they do to TA. Or, yeah, you just played TA. So here, I'm going to wrap it up. Do you have any last questions?
So just let me summarize what you like with this session. You are saying that the impact is not about like if their mid laner is left mid to gank other lanes. The impact I created is not drag them back. It just purely created tower damage. If that's the case.
If you, how do I word this? If you can ever avoid interacting with your team at this level, you should do that.
Oh, okay.
Meaning, if you have the choice to show up to fights or take a tier 3, you should just take the tier 3. Like, if you ever have the choice to show up to an early skirmish at a tier 1 or take a free tier 1, you should take the tier 1. Like, it's so impactful to apply map pressure, and you need to understand that pushing lanes into their towers and nobody defending is something that happens in 7K. So if it happens in 7K and you prioritize it in 4K, guess how often they're just going to let you take free towers? Pretty often. It's going to happen a lot. So
Okay.
if you can get down the idea of, am I safe enough to push this tower? If I am, push it. That's like a huge step in the right direction. Like, the only time you should not be hitting towers for the time being is if you don't feel safe hitting them. If you're not sure if you're safe hitting them, hit the damn tower and find out.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Oh, okay.
that's like, it's just like how I said, you know, the only way to learn how to use creep aggro is whether or not you just use it all the time and find out if it was a good or bad effect from it. If you're not sure how often you should be hitting towers, hit the fucking tower and find out what happens. Like, rather than not hitting the tower. So, like, when you have the choice to counterplay the enemy and you have the choice to hit the tower every single time, and in the long run, find out if it was correct to hit the tower. Like, meaning, I did 200 damage to that tower and my team got wiped. Okay, it was probably better to go to that fight. Like, and try to understand why. Like, do your best to understand why. There's so many situations that can happen in Dota, right? Like, there's so many that I can't give you a magical formula for when to hit tower and when to show up to fights. Dota is all about, it's like a decision tree. Which decision ends up being better and why? Like, that's all it is. I just need you to know what's important to think about. And I need you to understand that creep aggro, creep equilibrium, tower pressure, like thinking about your objective before you're doing it, thinking about like what items give you what, like what's your role in the game, who kills you, like how do you kill people, do you need to do physical damage, do you need to do magical damage, do you need to offer team fight, do you need to offer split push, like all of those things need to happen every game. Like, they do need to happen. Somebody needs to do them. It's just a matter of where do you fit in that equation, like where do you go there. Like, if your team needs to pressure towers and your hero is a Terrorblade and they have 5 magical damage nuking heroes, how many towers are you hitting for the first 20 minutes of the game?
Probably not.
0. But, like, even though your team should probably be doing it, you can't do it yourself. So don't do it. You just can't do it. It's not within your hero's bounds to do it. It's like, if you're a TA and you need to be team fighting, buy a damn Blink Dagger. You know what I mean? Like, if your hero needs to be able to participate, buy a Blink. It's like, if you're a carry and you need to be able to participate in team fights, buy a BKB. It's like, what is your role in the game? And my goal for you, honestly, your biggest thing is just push yourself to think about every decision. I don't care if your decisions come out half as fast because you're busy thinking about them so much. Like, look like a potato in the short run so that you can that you can actively think about your decisions as you go. That's my summary for this session. In terms of individual little things, look back at the session to remind yourself exactly what I told you to work on. And then I highly recommend the coaching simulation course for creep aggro and for creep equilibrium. Highly recommend it.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, thanks, man. I'm gonna wrap it up there. Appreciate you signing up, and we'll see you later.
Have a good rest of the day.
Yeah, you too, man. See ya. Okay, so let's see. Emphasis on thinking about each small decision. That's that session. Okay, so the next person I'm supposed to coach, I believe I'm incredibly late.